By computer. Start video. Okay. I believe I'm here.
There you are.
All right.
All right, I'm going to kill the other one real quick.
There we go. All right. Great, man.
That was exciting. I was like, oh no, he's in the wrong place.
I'm like, I'm here early. Yeah. All right.
So we are recording. You want to pause the recording for a moment.
All righty. Well, welcome one and all.
You got to pull the slideshow up, mate.
Yeah, I'm working on that right now.
Just so everybody knows that's here. There are two Chris Hiltons. One of the Chris Hiltons, the dark and handsome skin tone and hair, is Michael Tengan. He's my other half doing these shows, these webinars. So he's Michael, and I'm Christopher.
Good morning, one and all. Yes, just to clarify, I'm not indeed Christopher Hilton. I am just his lookalike. Of course, minus the beard and all that stuff.
The caveman look.
Yes. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. Limitless Accelerate Your Consciousness by Chris Hilton and Michael Tengan. And we'll be talking today about how to optimize your brain. Picture of the mind. Forget.
Oh, something just crashed. So if you haven't muted already, please mute so it can just be Mike or I speaking. And next slide, Mike.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'd like to just talk about what we're going to be talking about today. This is a couple models of how the brain looks. So the mind and the brain are two separate things. Brain is the matter, the gray cells, the actual mass of cells inside your brain, inside your head. That's the matter. The mind is actually more than that. The mind is a field that surrounds you. It's actually part of your body. For those here that do Vipassana, experience the mind as internal to the body. The internal and the external are both reflections of themselves. So it also exists on the outside as well. So it looks like a field, like a like if you put a magnet on the ground on a piece of paper and sprinkle iron filings around it, it creates that apple style shape. That's the field we're talking about. That's the mind field. And our mind field is part of what they call in quantum physics the universal mind. So Mike and I can be touching upon the your mind. Not so much the interaction with the universal mind. That'll be something we'll get into the future, but just a model you can use for your mind and how to adapt your mind to the environment around your external environment so that you can create better and more abundant results in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So Mike's going to be talking about the levels of the mind, and then I'll be going into the picture that Bob Proctor uses and was created by Dr. Thurman Fleet. It's called the Stick Person, and we'll review the next events and open up for questions at the end. So I'd like to introduce Michael Tengan, who's also called Chris Hilton here, but he's the gentleman sitting in his car right now, using his environment to the best he can. So I met Mike at Psi Seminars. He was in my leadership class, men's leadership class, and he was the gentleman who rose to the top. He took, he was one seen as the leader of the all, leader of the whole group. So in that, he's kind of a superstar. People know him. Distinguished graduate from Psi. He's been working in the personal development world for about 10 years. And he's doing this now because he's been able to create such things in his life, and he's seen how to create in his life and been able to reproduce what he's done in his life as far as creating new dreams. So he's now teaching it. So he's not one of those teachers that say, if you can't do it, teach. He's actually a mentor. He's been through it and he's done it. So he's now mentoring. Okay. So for instance, in college, he dreamed of, or he's a younger man, he dreamed about traveling around Asia. And college, he actually got to do that. He got to travel throughout Asia and even live there for a little while. As an early adult, he was a personal trainer and wellness consultant, kicking off his personal development stuff. As an adult, he's worked in nonprofits, creating nonprofit organizations, and he's now a founder and director of one. For his goal, for his heart, he always wanted a family. He now has a wife and a lovely son who are actually with him right now, which is the reason he's in his car, because they're in the hotel. And now he has other aspirations. One for starting a business, help coach other people in the endeavors that he has already undertaken as far as manifesting new results in his life. And as a business creator, entrepreneur, he's also actually branching out in Hawaii to go into politics as well. So a statement that he said sums him up is, I support people living a life of authenticity and abundance. So without further ado, this is Michael Tengan. We'll mute the microphone and he will have the next half hour.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris, for the wonderful introduction. Yes, it's definitely been an incredible journey, and one that I've been blessed with to have so many wonderful companions upon. And so thank you very much, Chris, for that introduction. Today we're going to be focusing upon levels of the mind, and so I'd like to establish context first and foremost with someone who I highly revere. I was in my college days a psychology major, and I had gravitated towards different fields of thought, and one of them was Carl Gustav Jung. And he was a psychiatrist and a psychoanalyst who worked intimately with Freud, and eventually branched off into his own school of psychology and thought. And he is someone that his reach has been tremendous. So anytime we talk about or say the word synchronicities, for example, or mention anything about archetypes, or start to really dive into the relationship of the conscious and the unconscious mind, that's all Jung. And so I'd like to establish some context today, first and foremost, by reading this phrase, until you make the unconscious conscious. Okay, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So when we are not aware of the full depth and breadth of our own mind, we tend to externalize a lot of things. And so when we do, we can often become at odds with each other. You know, when we think about the mind, lots comes to mind, pun fully intended. Thoughts and emotions, reactions, feelings, patterns, so on and so forth. It can be sometimes a bit overwhelming to really look at what's beneath the surface. However, we tend to make things more complicated than they need to be. And so what we'll be looking at today is the levels of the mind in its most simplistic version. We're really going to keep it as simple as possible, and we're going to use a model that we've used with Psy seminars. So the Personal Success Institute, it's a very simple model where we'll explore the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and for another date, the superconscious mind. Chris was talking about that universal mind or unity consciousness, and that's definitely a webinar in itself. So what we want to focus upon today are going to be the aspects that we can engage more readily and steadily that will have a direct effect in our lives now. And so with that, I am part Hawaiian, and I love the perspective that comes into play with the Hawaiian collective consciousness. And so I'd like to insert now a little piece in terms of what's known as an olelo no eo, which is a Hawaiian proverb. And so this proverb is pupu kahi'i holomua. Pupu kahi'i holomua, which when translated means united to move forward. So I love this because back in my competitive athletic days, I was a canoe paddler throughout high school. I did crew when I was in attendance of college in Oregon, and then when I was living in Okinawa, I did dragon boat racing. And so all team sports where one of the consistencies was the glide. And now if you're not familiar with boat racing, there is a period when everyone is in harmony, coherence, and synergy, where the boat feels as if it's floating on the water. Everyone is in this state of connectivity, of heightened awareness, of allowing that it's a beautiful thing. And when you're paddling, 26 miles, it's nice to have. So as the boat slides across with canoe paddling, there was 6 of us. With crew, there was 4 of us paddling, and then 1 person steering, and so on and so forth. So it was being in a state of unison and unity. And so that, when applied to the context of today, being able to bring our conscious mind and our subconscious mind into a place of unity, harmony, and coherence is ultimately the intention that we have in terms of the information we're going to present, as well as the exercise and activities that you'll be participating in. So, moving into the dynamic of the conscious and the subconscious mind, often we reference the good old iceberg, or as I like to call it, the mindberg. And so what we're going to be looking at with this is what I'd identify as more the terrestrial mind. So the aspects of our mind that help us to navigate space and time. And so broken down into pieces, the conscious mind, that whopping 10% of our mind that we operate on the world with. The critical thinking aspect, it's the logical thoughts, short-term memory, light problem solving, the rational construct that we use for operating on the world. The subconscious mind, the rest of us, indeed the majority of 90%, which constitutes our imagination, our intuition, our beliefs, and our habits. It's the depth and the breadth, the true essence of who we are. Now, when we look at that dynamic of the conscious and the subconscious mind, we're actually able to even track it via certain metrics. And so to the right-hand side, we have what are known as the different brainwaves. Now, the different brainwaves are broken down into beta at the highest, alpha, theta in the mid-range, and then down to delta. Now, with each of these, if you can see, they're all measured in hertz. So, which begs the question, what are hertz? Hertz are really a measurement within a second, the amount of cycles or the squiggly fluctuating lines per second. And so if you think about it in terms of everyday life, it's the sound that you hear from fluorescent lights. Now, one movie that comes to mind, and I'm not sure if I'm going to date myself on this, is Joe versus the Volcano. I'm not sure how many of you remember that yet. Sitting in his office, Tom Hanks is sitting in his office, and in his office, in his little cubicle, and then there's the fluorescent lights that are buzzing, and he's like looking up, and his eyes are starting to go up. That's hertz. That's about 60 hertz. So that's a little higher than beta. You hear that at the higher range for the fluorescent light. Beta would be down here. A little lower. That sound is essentially that energy output that's coming in terms of, again, cycles per second. And so when we talk about that in terms of the context of brainwave activities, we can see it in terms of the lowest aspect of delta, just 0.5 to 3. So it's very much, we're like the oceans, since we're talking about brainwaves, it's like the swells of the ocean, very soft and delicate. The theta then, 3 to 8 hertz, a little bit more movement on that, okay? Alpha then, seeing a little bit more in terms of the peaks and the valleys, and then beta, much more erratic and larger in terms of that fluctuation. Now we're going to be using this in the next slide, talking a little bit more about each and every one of those aspects of the brainwave, specifically because they correlate and correspond with the conscious and the subconscious mind. Speaking of which, brainwaves in motion. So here we see the 4 dominant brainwaves. There are others yet, since we're not talking about the superconscious mind, we'll save that for another day. Primarily what we'll be looking at are delta, theta, alpha, and beta. So let's jump straight into it with delta. Delta is the depth of the subconscious mind. So this is usually associated with deep sleep, restorative work if you're dealing with any sort of injuries. Delta is a great place to be in. You can think of it when you nod off and you go to sleep. You nod off, you go to sleep, no dreams, it's just all of a sudden you wake up 7 hours later, not even remembering that you had fallen asleep in the first place. Delta is deep, deep sleep. So as we remember one slide back, the level of activity is minimal. So it's as if our consciousness goes for a little walk and our body does some restorative work internally. Really great for healing, really great for doing restorative, rejuvenative work. Oops, wrong way. There we go. Theta. Theta is also within the realm of the subconscious mind, and one thing to look at is that more or less it's not exclusive. So these are actually, when I say the subconscious mind for theta, there are pieces in terms of the conscious mind as well, yet it's more of a ratio and a dominance. So theta is dominantly the subconscious mind. It's that area of deep meditation, of light sleep, of high suggestibility. So this is where we see hypnosis, for example. And when people do things that they wouldn't typically do, this is accessing this aspect of the mind and allowing these different seeds of thought to be patterned or to be placed into a pattern. So it's great in terms of doing healing work as well when we're looking at things in terms of overcoming certain trauma, for example. Also really great in terms of getting into that really restful state of being. It's also the state though when you're driving, you finish off work, you hop into your car and you're driving, and then all of a sudden 35 minutes later you're pulling into your garage with no recollection of how you got there. That's theta. So theta is great in a lot of things, and anytime that you're looking at doing meditation or relaxation, getting into theta is a good place to be. Alpha, conscious mind. So it's when we're awake and aware. It's a relaxative state. It's the flow state. It's that state where things seem easy and effortless, and things just seem to happen. It's also the state of being in the zone. So when you hear about athletes being in the zone and they're on fire, they're dunking or they're kicking, and they just seem unstoppable. That's alpha. Alpha is in a very connected state. It's a state of well-being, of relaxation, and really of beingness. When anyone says anything about beingness, really connected to the essence of who we are and allowing that to be expressed in the world, that's usually in a state of alpha. Next is beta, conscious mind. So this one, if you remember again, is highly erratic. Lots of fluctuation, peaks and valleys are much more pronounced. Now, in this state, we're much more reactive. Highly alert, so it does play a part, definitely, yet we tend to be in a state of fight or flight. And so if we think about that then, it's an interesting place to be, and quite honestly is dominantly where most of the world is now in waking state. It perceives everything as a threat to a certain degree. So when we talk about things in terms of health and well-being, one of the things in personal training that we often dealt with, that I often dealt with, was when things began to plateau. And one of the things to look at is cumulative stress. So unless there is, it's a cycle. So stress and relaxation, stress and relaxation. Today, what I encountered a lot of in terms of my career as a personal trainer was more so a cycle of stress, and then more stress, because it was almost as if we had forgotten how to relax. And so looking at this in terms of the brainwave patterns here, often, And more often than not, many people are in beta, and to a certain degree get stuck in beta. When we're in beta, we tend to be more anxious, more irritable, again, highly reactive. And so the funny thing is that if we're spending collectively more time in beta, how then do we go from a place of reactivity into a place of response, moving from what I would identify as more so the ego, beta, conscious mind, and make our way more into our essence and going into our states of alpha and theta and delta. Interestingly enough, we see that a lot also in terms of sleep patterns and depths of sleep. With being in beta more often than not, when we actually finally turn off our phone before we go to sleep and then close our eyes, it takes a long time to actually get down into the restorative aspects of theta and in delta. So what we're going to be looking at in terms of our conversation today is being able to allow ourselves to move more into that state of essence and being and beingness, and to be able to manage ourselves, really our mind, and being able to go in from that place of reactivity and beta and being able to respond to the world from a different place. And that's where we go into alpha and theta. Now, the reason that this is also important is because the subconscious mind is where our magic truly lies. It's the aspect of ourself, as we're going in through the iceberg or the mindberg analogy, where our essence, our inner child, our inner truth, really the core aspects of our self-perception and the statement to the question of who am I, coming into who I am, lies. It's all down here in the subconscious mind. These patterns and programs that exist are things that, unless we become conscious and aware of them, will ultimately, as Jung had suggested, be something that we identify as fate or something outside of ourselves. Now, to engage that requires us to look at our beliefs, our emotions, our values, the core constructs of our self-perception, and our own physiology. Because in the realm of the subconscious mind, there's all these things. There's our feelings, there's our imagination, there are our values, and also the consciousness of the body. So if we're dealing with certain things in terms of pain, in terms of discomfort, one of the things that we can look at is looking beyond the physicality of it and how it can be related to other aspects of ourselves. The great thing about this, and again, we won't necessarily be talking too much about it today, just previewing things, is the subconscious is indeed the gateway to our superconscious mind. And so if we're looking at really unlocking within ourselves the capacity to achieve our dreams, our hopes, and our desires, and to be more connected not merely to the world inside of ourselves, to the world outside of ourselves, quote unquote, then really working within this context is going to be incredibly helpful and beneficial. So I'd like to finish off then in that, since we were talking about health, wellness, and well-being in terms of all of that, a quote from Iyengar. He is a founder of a school of yoga, yogi indeed, and really focuses a lot upon the multidimensional aspect of health and well-being. So he has to say, health is a state of complete harmony of the body, mind, and spirit. When one is free from physical disabilities and mental distractions, the gates of the soul open. And so on that note, I want to finish here and transition then over to Chris Hilton. And I like to introduce him much as he did with me. Chris Hilton is an amazing man. If we are indeed the culmination of the experiences in our life, then Chris Hilton is an amazing husband and father. He is innovator. He has been a vagabond at a time in his life. He is a dreamer, and yet he is a dreamer who is able to bring his dreams into reality. I met Chris, as he had mentioned, at a retreat for a men's leadership program, and I remember him vividly because of initially what I saw as his work ethic and his focus. I saw him doing some things on one of the more physical projects and was really impressed because he was doing two things simultaneously. He was in there in the dirt doing the work itself, carrying this like big rock, and yet he was also supporting those around him by offering suggestions, by taking leadership within that moment. And I found that to be truly inspiring. And never could I have imagined in that moment that we'd be here today. Yet Christopher Hilton is an amazing person who has done so much in his life. And I just want to acknowledge a few of them. He's been in the personal development realm for the last 10 years under a number of different capacities. He's obviously a participant in terms of the PSI seminars, does things in terms of working with Bob Proctor as a consultant. Where he is now, he does much with the U.S. military and master resiliency training. He is a mental coach for pro athletes, does a lot in terms of bringing that mental aspect in terms of a place that really focuses entirely or mostly upon physicality, and really has done much in terms of the human potential movement. I can sum up Chris, I think, with a phrase that he lives his life by. I love to mentor people so they achieve their dreams. And as such, I'd like to turn it over now to Mr. Christopher Hilton. I'm going to turn my video off as well as my microphone and allow him to take over from here.
All right, welcome everybody. Thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate your introduction. So what I'm going to be talking about today is the stick person. So using the basis that Mike has built in this presentation, I'm going to bring a picture to what he was talking about, so you can visualize and work a model, see where you are in this picture, and what you need to do to change it. Okay. So slide Mike. So Mike's in charge today, so he's got to flip all the slides for me. So to start this out, the stick person is actually something that was created by Dr. Thurman Fleet in 1934. So this gentleman, Dr. Thurman Fleet, was a chiropractor by training, and he had a moment of inspiration in his life. A spiritual awakening, some people call it, where he saw more than just the physical body. He saw to heal somebody, you also have to tap into the mental and spiritual aspects of that person. And so he created a thing called concept therapy. So this was an extremely popular practice. He actually had to move his the location of his practice 3 times in Austin, Texas, because the people that were coming to see him, he could not see all the people at his current location. And his third location, there were so many people coming to see him. He said 500 people a day, that Austin, Texas had to rebuild the road system around his practice. And so you can see the influence this gentleman had over the local city and the fact that changing the way the roads are built. And he wanted to share this with the people, what he had discovered. So 1934, he sketched this stick person out and as a way to describe to others what the mind looks like. And at first he tried to give away for free, which I thought was kind of funny. Then he realized something about people is they don't appreciate or study what you give away for free. So he ended up charging people. So he was very successful with that. And if you want to look at people who are good teachers, mentors, or people to learn from, you see if they have any background in morality. So he actually had 10 rules to live a higher life, which is his moral basis which he lived by. So it's good to have a healer who is also morally grounded, and anybody who does spiritual work understands the basis for the Vipassana people here, Martin. The morality is the basis of healing. So if you want to heal yourself and grow, basically being a kind person is a good thing. All right, slide. All right, so the stick person, Mike's going to be drawing this out as I tell him to click through the sections here. This is what the stick person looks like. You can see that the head of the stick person is much larger than the body, grossly larger, because putting the emphasis on the mind as being the tool of creation, not so much the body. The mind is separate in two parts. You can go click through this, Mike. The conscious mind is the upper part, which is your thinking mind. It's the place where you actually create in. And below that line is a subconscious mind, saying it's lower. Remember those theta and delta waves. That's where those exist. The mind line is right about 7.8 hertz. And then above that, the conscious mind is your alpha and beta frequencies we talked about earlier. So the interesting part here, the division between those two levels of mind we call the Schumann resonance frequency, which is this frequency that the Earth's, between the mantle, the crust of the Earth and the ionosphere vibrates at. This, due to all the lightning strikes in the planets, creates this resonance at 7.8 hertz approximately. And so we lie between that. That's where the conscious and subconscious mind lie between. So we are an effect of the environment of the Earth. And I read somewhere that when you chuck an astronaut out of this and they're orbiting the planet for too long, they actually need a separate resonator in the spaceship to produce 7.8 hertz so that mind doesn't go crazy. So it's like a grounding line between conscious and subconscious. So this border is very important. We'll get into this in a minute. So how does this work? Slide, please, Mike. Sorry, body, and then how does this work? So the conscious mind, if you're thinking something, and most people think passively or don't think, they just react to the environment, and that's conscious mind is impressing constantly into the subconscious mind. So going through a practice where you are thinking what we call positive thoughts, thoughts that benefit us, is a good practice to have because it constantly impresses those thoughts into your subconscious mind. And this happens all the time, 24/7, every day. So as those thoughts get impressed to the subconscious mind creates a feeling. That's its job. The universe speaks in the feeling. That's why music can move anybody. It doesn't matter where you're from. If you hear the music, there's a feeling associated with it that's connected through the field. From the feeling, it translates into the emotion of the body in vibration. This is a physical vibration. So your body is actually a mass. So that the mind is an energy field and the body is mass. It is atoms, protons, neutrons, electrons, put in structures we call molecules and chemicals. And then we call them cells and organs. And so all these different parts of your body interact with each other and create vibrations that transmit to the outside world. And the outside world, we talked about last time, the law of vibration. There's a sub-law called the law of attraction. Like a magnet, the outside world is drawn towards you and to resonate with the vibration in your body. So click, Mike. And those are your results. So this is a feedback loop. I don't know why I jumped back there. So there's a, there you go. This is a psychocybernetic feedback loop. So what does that mean? Psychocybernetics is actually a book written by Maxwell Maltz. If you want to read that, it's an excellent book. It explains how the human mind is much like a cruise control in a car or a thermostat on the wall in your house. That it's when it's programmed to do something, it will attain that no matter what. So the results you're having right now are being attained because you're on cruise control, because you have set a certain temperature and your mind is going through its process as it's supposed to maintain that. Okay. So if you look at the way the mind was originally developed, we have a thing called the brainstem, which is people call the reptilian mind or the reactive mind or the fight-flight mind. That's one that keeps you alive. If something happens to you and you react and you live through it, it says, hey, I'm going to keep that programming. That kept me alive. Okay? So the thing about our world is we have a very safe environment, but we're put in things like movies and stuff like that where we react emotionally to something which programs the subconscious mind. But that doesn't serve us when we get out of the movie, because we've watched somebody go through some terrible event when they're getting shot at or something like that. So we've reacted, and those aren't usual events that we have, and now we're using that as a model to live our life by. So our subconscious mind is constantly trying to keep the same programs by changing the program into a feeling, a vibration in the body, which throws the same results into you. Just like a thermostat on the wall, when you change the thermostats, change the temperature, the subconscious mind will also change as you change the programming and create new results for you. So how do you do that? We're going to get into that right now. Slide. So this gentleman here, Albert Einstein, you're probably pretty familiar with, but he used his intuitive mind a lot. This gentleman was very, very spiritual, in fact. So people don't recognize that part of him. But he was very spiritual. He used the intuitive mind, which is a connection between the subconscious and conscious mind, to understand the laws of the universe. Okay, so here's a quote from him. The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind the faithful servant. We've created a society that honors the servant but has forgotten the gift. So the rational mind in his case is one that's just looking at the outside world and reacting to the outside world and seeing that as reality. An intuitive mind is something deeper, something more spiritual that's going on inside, and that's what we're going to access in this slide. So this is how most people are living right now. They actually don't have much of a conscious mind. They're just reacting and feeling. If anybody's in advertising, you know that stories and feelings sell. So you create a feeling when you have a commercial, and that feeling is the thing you're selling, because people aren't thinking. They're just reacting to stuff. So our goal is to engage that thinking mind. So slide again, please, Mike. This is living by reaction habits, repeating the same habits. This is what Einstein would call the definition of insanity, when you keep repeating the same thing, expecting different results. Okay, your results vary slightly as you go up and down in your feeling. You're feeling good today, feeling bad today, whatever it might be. But they're generally the same. Your drive results are the things in your life, like how much money you're making, what kind of car you drive, what kind of relationships you have. Are they constructive, destructive? Do you have a good, loving relationship, good time with your family? Do you like your job? Are you making the money you want to make? Those are your results. Okay. Slide, Mike. Okay, so this is living by your programming. So programming can be good, but it can also be bad. So we're going to talk about how to reprogram your brain so that you can have good programming, a program that isn't sabotaging you. Slide. Program where you can get more money, program where you can have more better results. This is my mentor, Bob Proctor. It's a saying by him here. So we are programmed. We are literally programmed genetically and then environmentally. And most people never break out of that program. So genetically, we have a thing called DNA and genes that are passed on by your parents. And you know that your body gets parts of each parent. And somebody is unmuted. Can you please mute? Thank you. So those aspects of your family are passed on to you. And you see there are certain characteristics you can see from that are passed down, how your demeanor is. You say, "Oh, just like your father, just like your grandfather, like grandmother, mother." So there's a genetic aspect of programming, and there's also an environmental programming. So if you look at that slide a few slides ago, when the head is open, there's no conscious mind involved. That's how we're born. That's in fact how we enter this world. And everything that happens around us is encoded as a survival mechanism into the subconscious mind for the first few years. And so you are programmed by your environment. So when your parents are fighting and things are said, later on when you're an adult, you reproduce those same things in your life because that's how you are programmed. You'll have the same relationships as your parents had, unless you had some life-changing event which reprogrammed you. Okay, slide. Thanks, Bob. So how do I take charge of this process? Thinking about that pretty hard right now. So you actually may be engaging your thinking mind right now, which is wonderful. Okay, slide. Start using your conscious mind as the answer. So the conscious mind, we're not talking about the monkey mind chatter, the beta noise that's going on that hasn't been calmed. So Martin, who does Vipassana, if he's still listening in here, that first step we take with Anapana is actually calming that monkey mind and the chatter so you can actually see and experience your mind. So meditation practice here is extremely, extremely helpful in calming down the noise so you can experience your inner self, yourself. You can just see who you are, see what desires you want. You're not saying, like you haven't been watching TV, or TV puts you in a theta state where you're open and accepting whatever's going on. And the commercial comes up and you see a Crest toothpaste commercial. And the next day you're shopping and like, I think I'll try some Crest toothpaste. So that's the the beta noise, the chatter that's just coming in, it's not filtered. Okay, the conscious mind is a filter. It has the freedom of choice. So freedom is something that is inherent to everybody. Now, the environment can be more or less accepting of freedom, which is why we live in America, the land of the free, and why I'm over here as well in Iraq. But everybody does have the freedom of choice. There's just different consequences depending where you live. And inside your mind, you always have the freedom of choice, whether to accept or reject anything that comes in. Being educated. So people think education is a piece of paper you get from school. It's not actually. Being educated is a person that is open to other perspectives, other points of view. And being open to other points of view gives you the ability to open your perception, which we'll talk about in a moment. Gives you the ability to have those inspirational moments where you get you understand something from a different point of view. The other thing here is that you can make quick decisions. When you know yourself, you know what you want. And one of the values, one of the aspects of a successful person, somebody who is abundant in life, wealthy, healthy, and has good relationships, they make quick decisions and then they stick to it. So they see something wrong or something they want to do, they make a decision to change it and go get it. And in making that decision, they stick to it. So for instance, if you want to go on a diet and you say, I'm not going to eat sugar, not necessarily a diet, but I'm going to eat sugar because the sugar is the main thing that's causes fat content in your body. So you realize, hey, perhaps I'm going to lose some weight for whatever reason, or release some pounds, so I'm not going to eat sugar. And then a few days later, you see something and say, maybe this one time. So what you did is you change your decision, and your subconscious mind gets impressed with something different. So your conscious mind is holding information for a little bit, saying, no sugar, no sugar, no sugar. Okay, some sugar. No sugar, no sugar. And the subconscious mind is getting mixed results. Okay? Slide, please. So start thinking. Here we go. Slide, Mike. So we're going to talk about two feedback loops. Personal development actually takes place in two regimes, two places. Excuse me, the physical and the spiritual. Both places have to work together in order for you to develop as a person. Whether you're conscious of it or not, this has to happen. So physical senses, keeping in line with the laws of the universe we started with last webinar. And this is the law of octaves. There actually are 7 physical senses, 5 of which you're probably familiar with. See, touch, hear, smell, taste are the basic physical senses we all know. I also add balance to that, the sense of balance, and the sense of electromagnetic fields. So electromagnetic fields gets a bit more out there. But think about this. If you took a balloon at a party and rubbed it against your head and just stuck to, or your hair stuck to it, as you pull it away, you feel that crackly poppy thing. That's an electromagnetic fields. We call it static electricity, but you are sensitive to electromagnetic fields. That's how you're sensitive to how people feel. Or when you walk into a room, you get a feeling for a place. When you meet somebody and you're like, I don't know about that person, got bad vibes. That's electromagnetic fields. You're actually getting in touch with feelings. Slide, please. So these physical senses are like little antennae on your head. They are received through your eyes, nose, mouth, your senses on the outside, and translated into electrical impulses, which then reverberate through, because energy is what your mind is, are picked up by your mind. So we see everything, or feel everything, touch, smell, taste, balance everything, through electrical impulses in our mind field. And we translate that into our what our environment is, how we perceive our environment through our experiences. Okay, slide. The other part of this is the spiritual senses, the higher faculties, as some people call it. So there's physical and spiritual aspects to this. Spiritual senses here are perception, imagination, reason, memory, will, intuition, and feeling. 7 again. And they're all interrelated. I didn't write them in order. Perception is your ability to perceive what's around you, your situational awareness. And this will be different for different places. So if you are a mechanic, you have more perception or awareness in the world of mechanics, whereas somebody else who is a human resources director, then they would have more understanding of how to direct people in their company and not so much how to work the car. So perception is an overall thing as well as a localized thing. Imagination, you might remember this from being a child. This is one of the most important things as far as cultivating your thinking mind so it is more effective, impressing your dreams on your subconscious mind. Using things like visualization. Creating a future for yourself using your imagination inside your mind. We'll go over that in a moment. We'll hit memory next. Memory is something that's taught very well in school, where we read something, do a process, and memorize it, and then when there's a test, we show that we have memorized it, and that's how we test. When we get to higher learning, maybe in high school, but definitely in college, as we go up there, we start teaching you how to reason, how to gather that data that is stored in your mind and start changing into information. And as we gather and organize it, it becomes information. And as we apply that to a certain subject, it becomes knowledge. And over time, knowledge becomes wisdom. So that's using that reasoning mind to put all that data together to become knowledge and wisdom. Number 5 there, will. Will is your ability to focus. This is the best place to go work on this is either in sports when you're focusing on an outside task or meditation when you're focusing on inside tasks. Yoga bridges the both. So there are things where you focus outside and inside while doing action while meditating at the same time. Intuition, this one's a little harder to access or understand. Not so much access, but understand. This is the aha moments you have in your life. So the people that we associate with inventions or great creations or people who added to our society as far as creating a better world for us to live in, they have engaged intuition. And you do this daily when you're like, oh, that's how that's done. That's intuition. It's actually coming from the inside. You have an intuitive part of you. It's not just that moment of invention. It's just discovering new things in your life. And then lastly, feeling. This is the actual engaging, understanding what a vibration is and associating with that as good as bad. That's your feeling. Okay? All right, go ahead. Next slide, Mike. So 2 feedback loops we have here, the outside in and the inside out. So we're used to experiencing the outside in and seeing, we're not getting our results. What do I need to do? I need to work harder. I need to work harder. Well, the inside out is the part you're missing. You can achieve through work. That is absolutely a way to do things. The inside out helps speed that up. So using your spiritual senses in the conscious mind and impressing not just through the physical action, but the spiritual action. It's like a 2-pronged attack coming in. All right? That makes everything happen more quickly. All right, slide. So living from the inside out, what are actions you can take to start using these spiritual senses? So incantations, which are emotionalized affirmations. That's a term that's used instead of just affirmation, which is just saying something. Now you're saying with feeling. So don't just say things, but engaging that feeling aspect of you is a way you get that to happen. So the function really is an aspect of repetition and feeling. So more feeling that's involved, the less repetition, the faster it comes about. The less feeling, the more repetition. Okay, so the spiritual aspect engages the feeling aspect of you. Visioneering, which is visualization, creating a picture inside your mind. Expressing gratitude, we talked about this last time. It's a way of raising your vibration. Again, who's there on their phone? Can you please mute? Thank you. So this is a bit more morality here. Choosing the positive, seeing things from a positive aspect, knowing that if there's anything bad that happens, is actually just like Mike talked last time about drawing the bow. To shoot an arrow, you have to go through a strenuous process of stringing that bow and pulling it back. And life is like that. You go through these downs and then ups. And the whole idea is creating this motion where you're increasing in your vibration each time. So it's not just a level reactionary state, you're actually going up. Smile, it's a good way to raise your vibration. Smile and get somebody else to smile. It even creates a spiritual connection between you, which raises both your vibrations. Meditation we talked about, doing good deeds and giving a gift without return, expecting a return is other ways to help raise your vibration. Okay, living from the inside out. Slide, please. So we're going to talk about the way you're programmed and how to change your program. This is what you've been waiting for. So all this backstory now is starting off with a story from my life, actually. I was working in the 15th Reconnaissance Squadron, flying, everybody calls them drones, remotely piloted aircraft in the Middle East, and I wanted a different job. I wanted to be a test pilot. So there are 4 people in the entire Air Force that get to do the job that I want. And so how do I get this job? Well, I applied to it and got denied. All right. So I decided to go ahead and use the other way. I use action as well, but also attack from the spiritual aspect. So I have this thing in this program in my mind right now. It says I'm a pilot, and I want to go become a test pilot now. So X is a pilot state of mind, state of thinking. All right. Next slide, Mike. I've been impressing this state of thinking into my subconscious mind since I can remember. I've always wanted to be a pilot, so I have a pilot subconscious mind. Okay, and then that has been, slide Mike, being pressed into the body, and that has attracted to myself, on my slide, the results. So I am a pilot in the United States Air Force, and I want to be a test pilot. So slide Mike. So my results are showing that I'm a pilot. So what I'm going to do, go ahead, Mike, slide, is use my spiritual senses. So what I did is I have a 45-minute drive to and from work. I live in Vegas, and the base I work at is in the middle of nowhere. So in those 45 minutes, I would literally talk to myself. I'd create a vision inside my head of me being a test pilot, of me coming back to the squadron that I work at right now and saying hi to people, and them saying, "Oh, it's amazing! I can't believe you're a test pilot. Congratulations, slips my call sign in the Air Force." You know, people patting me back, people sitting down. "What's it like over there? You're a 9-to-5 job now instead of working shift work. You don't have to worry about so many people, flight commander anymore. You're a test pilot. That's amazing. I'm so happy for you." So I created this image of me being that now inside my head. Okay. Slide. All right, so that's my Y vision created inside my head, and I replace the X with this new Y, constantly thinking about it, 45 minutes to and from home or work. And then as I thought about this, it started impressing into my subconscious mind. Go ahead, Mike, impress that. And as it goes to my subconscious mind, the vibration of the body changes and draws that towards me, and the results change. So literally what happened in my life was, my boss called me into his office one day without me asking him. He said, "Slip, I got you a job." I'm like, uh-oh, what's going on here? He said, "I got you a job as a test pilot." I'm like, "Wait a minute. You got me a job as a test pilot?" He said, "Yeah, you're going to work at the 556 Test and Evaluation Squadron. This is right across the base here. And you start in a month." So I didn't ask him. It happened. So you can see that I attracted this to me through the process of using my spiritual senses and also taking action on the other side, looking for ways to become a test pilot. So that the aspects of the both add together. All right, slide. One more thing you got to look at here that happened subconsciously. I threw it in there. There's a red line that popped up right there, which is called the fear barrier, the terror barrier that happens when things start to change. Your body's not used to vibrating this new way. So the body being mass resists change. Every Newton put it, every body stays at rest or emotionless, acted upon by an outside force. So you're creating an outside force to change the motion of your body. This creates resistance. Your body doesn't like it. You think about if you drive a different way to work, you're like, it's too much work. I don't want to drive a different way. I don't want to see anything else. Let's drive the same way every single day. Well, it's a good habit to start breaking this down. You can try different ways to drive to work. You can try different ways of doing things, different ways to peel an orange, different ways to eat an apple, whatever it might be. Look at things from a different way. That is a sign of education, a sign of intelligence, that you keep trying different aspects, have an open mind. And it will help you cross this fear barrier, understanding it. Try writing with your left hand when you wake up in the morning and do your affirmations. or write down your affirmations, or do your gratitude practice. If you write with your left hand, you'll see the resistance your body has. Like, oh, I got to sit in this funny position. Oh, I got to use my left hand. That's actually going through the fear barrier in a very, very, very small little way. Okay, slide, please. So expect this to happen. When it does, you know how to push through it. You just continue the same process. And Will Smith here is fantastic. If you've ever watched some of his stuff on YouTube, he's fantastic talking about this. Go search Will Smith and skydiving. He's hilarious. He does this whole bit about him skydiving, and I guess he didn't want to go skydiving. Anyway, so he says, fear is not real. It is a product of thoughts you create. Do not misunderstand me. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice. So you hit that fear barrier, you have a choice because your conscious mind is engaged, is being used. You have a choice to press forward through it and realize your new results, or you can bounce off it and fall back into your old results. Okay, thanks, Will. Next slide. So you always have a choice in your conscious mind. Slide. I don't know if this slide actually updated. Here we go. So you have the choice of fear, which is not to do anything. The same old every single time. Same old things, same old results. Same old things, same old results. Or you can go, next slide, Mike. Or you can make that choice. You can use your conscious mind, engage your spiritual side of you, access your visualization, access your intuition, access the higher self, change your perception, look at a different point of view, go and experience it, go sit in that car you want, go take it for a test drive, go be in the house, or go look at the house you want to buy. Go out there and experience it, be in that vibration, try something new. Slide. And take actions. The conscious mind is about taking action no matter what. So physically or spiritually. If you're taking action that way, you're actually growing. So as we know, the Psi people here know that you're either growing or dying. There is no stability in between. If you're stable, you're actually dying. So if you look at anything around you that is stable, say the table that's in front of you or any piece of matter, it's actually in a process of decay. So personal growth is actually living. So you live if you're doing personal growth. If you spell live backwards, you get this bit of spiritual stuff here. If you spell live backwards, it becomes evil. If you're not living, you're being evil, destructive, and decaying. Okay. I'm not saying you're evil, but that's how the imagery works. Okay. Slide. It's a reflection. The opposite. We have time for this. No, we're right on time. So next time I'll be going through the mechanism of breath, something I would teach to my pro athletes. If we had time, I was going to talk about this. And I guess after the questions, if you want to stick around, we can go over this as well. So slide. The big thing about this is our friend that's 2,500 years ago, Buddha. So you notice the people who have a moral teaching, they tend to stick around for a while. Their teachings are good. The basis is in the laws of the universe. So they hold true for all generations. So Buddha said, be patient. Everything comes to you in the right moment. Words from the wise. So if this doesn't happen right away, continue working it. It's often referred to as a seed that you plant in the ground. And you have to water that seed before it starts to grow. It's the same thing with your subconscious mind. You have to overcome an old program. You literally have to rewire your brain. You have to make a new, as they say in cognitive neuroscience, nerve cells that fire together wire together. So you're creating a new electrical path inside your brain when you're impressing that Y program into your head. That new electrical path, the more you fire it, the stronger it becomes. And there'll be a point when it becomes stronger than your old program. That's where you hit the fear barrier, those moments when it becomes stronger. And you keep building that, and then the old one will decay. And a new path, a new paradigm, a new program will take life in your results. Okay, slide. All right, so we're done with this one. Our next one is actually going to be really interesting. We'll be talking about the magic of achieving quantum goals. So this is going to go into quantum physics, but also the spiritual aspect of how to attain goals and what the observer effect is and how that goes into goal setting. Sounds like a bit of fun, right? That's on the 5th of August, so 2 weeks from now. the 19th of August, we're going to go into what water is. So we are mostly water. Water is a way we hold our vibration in our body. So I'm going to give you some practices of how to raise the vibration of the water that you drink so that you can externally influence, your vibration. 2nd of September, we're going to talk about E equals MC squared being a spiritual equation. It's going to be a pretty fun one. It's a little bit of physics, a little bit of spirituality. And the 16th of September, we're going to go a little more spiritual here, talk about chakras, octaves, and a celestial dance. That's going to be how you start relating to the superconscious mind and what we were talking about in this. So, slide. So why are Mike and I doing this? Go ahead, slide. There we go. Warren Buffett says, that's Warren down there, not looking at the camera, invest in as much of yourself as you can. You are your own biggest asset by far. So investing in ourselves, Mike and I have been able to grow ourselves to a place where we're able to start mentoring people. So investing in you now is what we want to do. With each person we teach to liberate themselves and do what they dream of doing, the world becomes a more peaceful and happy place. And Mike and I like a peaceful and happy place to live in, and I'm sure you will do as well. So that is our goal. World peace, world happiness. Okay, slide. So if you have any inspiration to pursue your goals and dreams, you can contact Mike and I. We'll be happy to help you. So if this information resonates with you, brought forth a desire or made you want to take action towards a better life, get in contact with us. Those are our email addresses. And also, if you know any friends that you would like to bring into this, please do. We want to spread the wealth as much as possible and teach people how to develop themselves to be better people. Okay? So at this point, we're going to open up for questions for the next 20 minutes. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and unmute your mic and we can talk about it. And Mike, if you can close the slides down and go back to the video view, and everybody, if you want to turn your videos on, then we can see each other and talk that way. It's actually a little more fun like that. That's the beauty of this program, is that we can
there we go.
All communicate and look at each other no matter where we are in the world. So questions?
I have a question. Good morning, everybody, or afternoon or night.
Yeah.
I have invited a few people, and the question everybody asks is, is this seminar recorded that, that we can watch it later, or can we just...
Yes. It is recorded, but the power of a group is always stronger. The information is transmitted more readily, and you'll see that anytime you go to a college, rather than learning at home. So it is better to be here in person, but we are recording it, and Mike is setting up a way that he will get in contact with everybody after this.
Right. So we're going to be setting up in the course of the next 2 weeks, essentially a strong social media presence and a platform that will allow us to share the recordings, much like a library. So we'll have access to it as the resources develop. However, I definitely agree with Chris in terms of the fact that there is much more power and profundity to the experience of the collective. So if they are interested in joining, then I would highly recommend that they be present for this, because it's just more fun. Yeah, we'll have
Plus you get to ask questions.
Yeah. We will have, though, a social media presence in terms of what we're creating, and they will have access to it there.
I absolutely agree. I just have to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena.
Thank you.
I agree with that too, and I've been watching the little blinking recording light in the upper left-hand part of the screen, wondering, hopefully those are going to be accessed. So thank you.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Charlie. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
So if there are any questions about how to reprogram your brain, you guys should be off and running then. So start your visualization process. Use your physical senses inside your mind. So close your eyes and visualize yourself being on that beach that you want to be on. Smell, touch, taste, hear, the whole experience. Okay, and then take that experience you're visualizing and emotionalize it, make it a feeling. And that feeling, the longer you hold that feeling, not just in the visualization, but afterwards, that feeling is actually what is going to resonate in your body, and that feeling is what's going to be attracted to you. So the odd thing is you don't always get what you ask, but you ask for, but you get what you need. So then what you need is that feeling. So you may not get the exact car, you may not get whatever, but you'll suddenly sit there in that environment and you go like, this is exactly what I felt at that moment. And this is what I wanted. This is truly what I wanted. So it may not always come the way you expect, but it ends up appearing to you.
That'd be a great song lyric, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think it'd be a good intro, definitely.
You'll get what you want, but if you try a little hard, you might get what you need.
Yeah. There you
Get
go.
what you need. Boom, boom, boom.
That might be your bumper music for the next seminar to put some
Yeah. Perhaps we'll do it to a dance as well.
yeah.
Hey guys, I want to say thanks a lot. That was super cool. It's Mika here.
Mika.
Hey, Mika.
Hi.
Thank you for
Hello,
joining us
Mika.
today.
Oh, good to see you.
There she is. Wow, I love the board behind you and all the things that are happening on it.
Oh yeah. Thanks.
Do you have
There's some good stuff going on there, but let's.
I know, really, right?
Lots going on, yeah. And a special thanks to Sherry because she gave me a call and asked me if I wanted to jump on here. So I think she's on her phone listening in, or maybe she's left. But thanks to her, I'm here. So thanks, guys.
Cool.
I'm here,
Yeah,
Mika.
Sherry's a great influence.
Hi, Annie.
Hey.
Hey,
Sherry.
Chris. My husband is on the conference call. He's using computer with the Zumo, so
Oh, awesome.
we're both. Yeah, he's doing a volunteer with a nonprofit. He's like, I got a conference call at 9. I'm like, so do I. I'm like, sure, you'll use it. You can use this Zumo. That's why. Great job, Chris. Mika, I'm glad you were able to. Michael, impressive resume.
Oh, thank you.
I always knew there's something special about you, but I didn't know you're that special. Hey, this is really fun. Your wife is so beautiful. You got a beautiful kid. Your boys are so cute. What's his name? He's 5 right now. Is he 4 or 5?
My son?
Yeah.
Oh, he's 2 years and 3 months.
He's only 2?
He's the size of a 4-year-old, yet he's only 2. So it's
I know.
yeah, he's a big guy. He looks very much like Alicia, and he's built like me. So he's got when he starts to talk, you can tell that he's still quite young.
Oh my goodness! I saw the picture. I thought he was 4 or 5 or something. Apparently.
So.
That's right. Well, thank you so much, Chris. I am very thankful that you did this. And then I don't have any questions. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Okay, great. Well, thanks a lot for being here, Sherry. I appreciate you inviting people because we would like to share in this. So there is a question from Martin. It says, do you think by tapping into your spiritual side so completely that it manifested in standing out on your consciousness as the best choice to be the test pilot? So Martin practices Vipassana, which is a teaching by Buddha. It's not Buddhism. It's a I see. Yes. Okay. So it's a teaching by Buddha that teaches you to purify the subconscious mind. So those programs that you live by, it's actually a quantum physics. It's really, really deep. Vipassana is amazing meditation. If you get a chance to go to a Dharma center, it's a 10-day free meditation. They're very difficult to get into unless you use your spiritual mind. You can get in there really easily. But it's a 10-day retreat for free where you meditate 10 hours a day. So it's 100 hours of meditation in an environment where you're fed for free. You have a beautiful place to stay, nice bed, and your schedules run for you. They ring a bell and you wander around and do your thing. So it's a great place to be. So as you purify your mind, you have less resistance in change. So your body has less vibration in it. So the more you do this practice, especially if you look at people like Warren Buffett, he's purified his mind in the world of economy. So his economy is a world economy. That's how strong and pure his mind is there. He has created his own economy. That's how powerful he is in that area. Okay? So so if you look at what I did with my commanding officer, I created a vibration, and he was attracted to it just from the things I'm doing. As I change my vibration, the way I express myself and the way I handle things becomes more like a test pilot. So he sees me as a suitable candidate to be a test pilot.
We may have some technical difficulties going on right now. Hold on for just a moment, please. The connectivity that Chris has right now in Iraq is splotchy at best. So we're going to give him a little bit of time to log back in. I think he probably got halted or disconnected. Oh, it's a very nice image of him.
Hey, Mike.
Hello.
Hey, Mike, it's Sherry. Since we're waiting, I have a question about the meditation. I know you can probably answer just as good as Chris. I know he does a lot of meditation. How do you control your mind not to wandering? That's what I struggle. Any tips?
Not to wander?
Yeah.
So what I found to be useful, and I haven't experienced Vipassana yet. I've done a number of other meditation modalities, is that I find that exercising mindfulness really helps in terms of bringing the fullness of awareness and attention into the moment. And so mindfulness, if you look back at what Chris was talking about in terms of the senses, is being able to focus on the human experience in a very powerful way. So looking at the sensations of smell or taste or touch, and really just allowing ourselves to focus on that, like taking a piece of fruit, for example, as a very simple exercise, and just taking a piece of it and, feeling the textures of it and the smells and so on, to really focus on our attention upon that. And what that essentially does, in response to your question, is that it takes some time to cultivate that degree of awareness, yet it's powerful in terms of being able to allow the mind to bring the fullness of its attention into a single moment. And as it's brought into that moment, again, it's a practice, much like Vipassana, much like other practices in terms of meditation, much like yoga. The more that we do it in terms of focusing our attention and awareness upon it, the easier it gets to become. So it's called, to a certain degree, brainwave entrainment, where we provide different stimulation for our mind and cultivate certain responses within our mind, and allowing our body and the consciousness of our body to be a part of that. So
thank you for that, Mike.
Mindfulness is a very powerful tool in that. And now that Chris is back on, I'll let him get back into Vipassana.
Thank you.
Oh, I was just, looking from a different perspective, but whatever happened, Iraq cut me off. I'm back again.
All right. Well, Pam had just asked a question in terms of, since you're coming back online, in how to focus the mind, because she was saying that she gets, what was it that you had said, Pam?
It's Sherry, Mike. So I was asking how to stay concentrate during meditation, Chris, and then Mike was saying that practice the mindfulness using our six senses. I still struggle, and when I meditate, I just don't know how to concentrate my mind. Just let it be. I struggle a lot, and then I also struggle a lot about thinking a lot, and how not to think. I think that's the same thing with meditation, right? Any thoughts about that, Chris?
So instead of using all senses, focus on one that's primary to you. So I used a dot on the wall when I did martial arts, and I would stare at that dot and nothing else. Bob Proctor also teaches that. He'll take a pen and just touch it against the wall and say, stare at that for 15 minutes. So that's taking an external sense and focusing it, which is external is one way to focus the mind. The other thing is to close your eyes and focus on a part of your body. Focus on a certain thought, an image, or something like that. You can use the physical senses internally as well. Focus on a sound. People do mudras, mantras, affirmations inside the head, repeat over and over again, feel beads going through the fingers. There's all kinds of things you can do. The Buddha teaches for focusing the mind. He teaches anapana. So he has morality base. He teaches anapana, which is a breath mode meditation, which gets you to focus just on the breath passing in and out of the entrance to your nose. Okay? What that does, the breath is interesting because it's a bridge. So organs are considered spiritual in his teaching because we don't control them. There's something else driving you don't worry about your digestion. You don't worry how your liver is functioning unless it's about to fail, those type of things. So generally you don't care what your organs are doing. But breath, you can breathe harder, softer. You can hold your breath if you're diving underwater, those types of things. You can control breath. So it is a bridge between the subconscious and the consciousness, or the physical and the spiritual. So Buddha uses this as a way to focus your mind. So morality, mental focus, and the mental purification. Vipassana is the mental purification aspect. Anapana is just a pure focus, where you just learn how to feel the sensation of the air passing through the entrance and exit to the nasal passageway as you breathe in and out through your nose. Okay, so that's a way of focusing your mind. So that's an external way of doing it, which is my favorite way actually right now. But you can put a dot on the wall, you can listen to music, whatever it is that trains you to just be focused on that. And the practice is whenever your monkey mind chatters off, you say, okay, mind, we're not worrying about the color of somebody's shoes right now. Come back, we're actually just doing this thing. We're staring at this dot. That's all we're doing is looking at the dot. All we're doing is listening to this. Let's just continue doing that. So all we're doing is just feeling the air going out of our nose. Just be just like a little child. You bring it back. You don't judge. You don't say anything. We're just doing this. Just breathe in and out. Relax and pay attention to your nose. And monkey mind will run off and think about what you got to do tomorrow. Okay, monkey mind. That's okay. Come back. We're just looking at the entrance to the nose. We're just breathing. So that is the practice of mental focus. And it can be done externally or internally. So.
Thank you very much, Chris. So how long do you recommend to start per day, daily?
5 minutes.
5
minutes a day.
Okay.
No more than 5 minutes a day when you first start. Do not push yourself. It'll frustrate you and you'll stop doing it. Also have a reason you want to do this, an emotional desire inside of you. Cultivate a reason why I want to focus my mind. Is it so you can achieve a goal? Is it so that you can, when you go to sleep, you can actually go to sleep instead of worrying about all the stuff? Okay? So you can actually quiet your mind. So you can be the captain of your soul. Okay? Master your fate, captain of your soul. This is you being in charge instead of all this stuff going on. Yeah. Okay?
That's right.
So that beta mind Mike's talking about earlier is quiet.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, I know. This is fascinating. Thank you, guys. So one more last question. Do you recommend guided meditation versus just simple exercise like what you just said? Focus on the breathe, our breathing, focus on one little dot or a physical part of our body, whatever?
I recommend what is most comfortable to you. The posture you sit in, whether you lie down. I do Egyptian meditation, which I look like a what they call a mummy lying there. I also do the sitting meditation 1 hour once a week or so, just to honor Buddha, because he sat beneath a tree for 40 days and 40 nights while he was enlightened. He didn't move. So he overcame the whining and complaining of his body, the fear barrier, all that kinds of stuff. He just sat still for 40 days. He said, I will not move until I'm enlightened. So do whatever's comfortable to you. And as time goes on, you'll pick up the new things you want to do. So make it fun, make it comfortable, and just start with 5 minutes. Guided meditations will last longer, but sit in a posture that keeps you awake as well. So I lie down because I'm pretty good at keeping myself awake. All right. So usually meditation postures posture is designed to be somewhat uncomfortable, so you don't fall asleep.
Yeah.
If you do, you end up kind of
Okay.
crashing somewhere. So, all right.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, thank you so much, Chris and Mike. Really helpful. That was very helpful. Thank you very much.
Great. All right, Sherry. Appreciate it.
welcome.
You're awesome.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Sherry's going to be the first woman billionaire. Is that correct? Just so everybody knows. You're talking to her right now. All right. Extremely
Chris.
powerful woman.
I don't know whether I want to publicly announce that.
First Canadian billionaire. Yes, she does.
Hey, there you go. Yeah.
Yay,
You want
it's
that because everybody
already
else
on
wants it
record.
for you.
Hey, I just want to declare that, okay? I didn't dare to have that dream. It was one of the PSI exercises. So if anybody on this call have not attended PSI, so just wanted to, give a heads up. It's a very powerful exercise. And then it was just a thought. At one of the leadership seminar, and it was one of the exercises was money conscious exercise. And one of my answer was billions. And I was just having a thought of like, wow, it was 2-second thing, and that scared me really big time. And then that was just a thought to begin. And I guess everything starts with thought. I'm still fighting with that. Do I believe it? How do I actually really make it happen? And constantly remind myself, what is my why? My why is not I'm collecting $1 billion a take with my graveyard or passing it to my kids. So it's I think it's just a journey. It's fascinating. I would say 20 years later, we shall see. Still working on it.
We'll be at your house
Yeah.
having a party, I'm sure.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, by the way,
Get there.
I have a party planned. It's 2030, December 31st. You're all invited.
I like it. I
Nice.
like it. See, she's made a decision. She's
Can
made
we
a
send
decision,
Can we
a
send
quick
our
decision, and she's going to stick to it. So,
Can we send the
Yeah.
I was gonna say, can we send the RSVP now?
Absolutely. It's on my Google. It's on my Google Calendar. Only a few people know. I don't know, Alina. Do you remember? I don't know whether you were at the Principia. It was the money exercise that Jerry did. Jerry and her husband. They handed a little exercise, and I'm not going to give you if you haven't. I have the questionnaires. If you haven't done it, one of my answers billions. It was just crazy, and then I was like really scared. And I was like, I don't think millions is enough. And then I said, I think I want. That was obviously a subconscious mind. We talk about subconscious mind, right? So they asked that you got to answer the questions very quickly. Don't think about it. I'm like, okay. So I finished really quick. And I was reviewing. I'm like, billions? How did I answer that? That was the first time it even come to my mind. And I raised my hand. I'm like, just so you know, this is my answer. I'm kind of scared. And she said, wow, that's how it started.
I think you can do it. I believe it.
Aww.
And actually, you gained more tools today. I mean,
I did. So that's why I'm a huge fan of Chris. I don't know Mike that well, but you have a great energy. I run into you and your wife. I know Chris only does things for a reason. I don't think he'll be friends with you that closely if you're not that amazing. So I'm pretty excited about the two of you. I'm pretty excited with the two of you. It's going to continue teaching. I told Chris, and he said, yes, I want to do this. I said, I'm a huge fan. Ever since the first time I met him, he is truly amazing. Chris is kind of scary sometimes. He reads people so well. If you ever have experience, when you go to Next 10, go to talk to him. Like, you will be amazed. You will be blown away. And of course, go to talk to Mike. I'm going to be talking to you more. That's my experience. And Chris, like what I know, he has a heart of gold and he wants to change the world. And I know he will. And you are already, Chris. I'm very, very grateful for the lessons you've taught me.
Yeah.
Every time I talk to you, I
13
learn
people
something.
at a time.
That's right. That's right.
the
I
lucky
know.
number.
You already.
The lucky number.
It's a lucky number. I know it's a lucky number, right?
Yeah, it is. That's the octave, the lower of octaves, right? Christ was the 13th,
Yep.
right? He showed the next level of mankind.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's right. It's a special, and it's going to be a snowball effect, right? And we immerse ourselves with like-minded people, and you guys are not laughing at me because I have the crazy idea. Oh, I want to be a billionaire.
No, we want to go hang out in your party. I mean,
Yep.
we're taking it serious here.
I know.
Hey, Sherry.
Yeah. Hi, Mika.
You left out a really special part of what happened that day when you announced a billionaire, and who did you go and share that with, and what happened? I think it's very
that's
beneficial.
right. Does anybody have the time? It'll take 2 minutes to share the story. That's right. Thank you for that. So I actually went to ask Bob Proctor because he was at the conference, right? And I was really scared. Quite frankly, I didn't know how to deal with the thoughts. And I was like, that evening, that whole day, I was just panicking, and I was just immersed with that thought. And I couldn't sleep. At 2 o'clock in the morning, I couldn't sleep. And I go through this. I was like, I wish I had a $1 billion bill in my wallet so I can actually really see that possibility of have something. So that was my thought before. We talk about mind, right? Mind connection or subconscious mind. This is kind of creepy. So that was the thought. I went to bed. And so next day, Bob was talking. And quite frankly, I was not really familiar with his teaching. I thought whatever he was talking was kind of didn't really make a lot of sense to me. I want a lot of evidence. So after he was finished his speech, I went to talk to him. And I just knew, I don't know what was the reason. I just knew I need to connect with him one-on-one. So I walked after his presentation, and I already answered the questions. I actually even shake his hand. And I was about to go to the washroom. Somehow my intuition, we talk about mind, right? Dragged me back. He was at the back. I said, I need to go to talk to Bob. I didn't know why. I already asked him a question. I already shook his hand. I didn't know why. I just need to go talk to him. And there was a lineup. And I have no question to ask him. I was panicking. I was like, what am I going to talk to him? And there was a girl in front of me. She said, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm in front of you. I'm like, I'm so sorry. You go ahead. Oh, I didn't even have a question to ask him. I didn't even know it was my turn what to say. And when the girl left, and he was standing right in front of me, I was like, that's right. I'm going to ask you for the $1 billion question. I said, Bob, I had a thought yesterday. I want to be a billionaire. I don't know what to do with it. I'm scared. I don't believe it. And he just looked at me, and so quiet, so calm, and so loving, so unbelievable. His beingness. Like, Chris, you have Bob's beingness, right? Just like, he's like, I don't know what is about him. He just, the way he looked at you, he just, immediately I was calm. I was like, oh, okay. And he pulled his wallet. I didn't know what he was doing. I thought he's going to give me some money. He's flipping his credit card.
Mr.
Like,
Billion.
what are you going to do? And he gave me some money. And he pulled a $1 billion bill from his wallet. He said, here, this is yours. I've been carrying this for a long time. It's yours. That's all he said. I'm like, wow, I don't know what to say. I said, thank you so much. I said, what do I do? He said, just start believing it. Just look at the bill and just start small. You have this. That was my, I wish from previous night to the second day that my intuition was asking me, my mind, there has to be something, the universe, I didn't understand, right? Dragged me to go to talk to him, and that's what I got it. And I'm looking at the $1 billion bill right now. Yeah.
Yeah. If you look at the way it happened, you had a very strong emotional event. So you're either taking action or you're using emotion. Okay. Stronger the emotional events, the stronger the emotion inside your body, the quicker things get attracted to you. Okay.
Right.
So what happened is you had this fear barrier thing going on. All right. So the body's like, I don't like this emotion. This change is crazy. So you had this fear barrier, but the emotion was stronger and pushing through it. So you attracted $1 billion bill to you. I mean, that's amazing.
That
you still carry that with you?
Oh, it's on my vision board every day. A friend of mine actually put in the plastic to protect it. Some people say, hey, you should go to cash it. I know, I don't think it's a real one. I never even knew. The funny thing is, I never even knew somebody would print $1 billion bill. I was like, I wish I could get one of those that was what I was thinking. The next day I got it. And from Bob Proctor, who's the master of teaching the law of attraction. So it's kind of unreal how it happened.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's unreal because you're using spiritual aspect. So the spiritual aspect is not familiar as far as like the building blocks that we see in the physical world. So you use something that was unreal or not realistic, as Will Smith puts it. He says, like, it's not realistic to want to fly an airplane. It's not realistic to pick up a phone and talk to somebody on the other side of the world. But these inventors, not realistic to have electric lights, just to have a generator like Tesla built on Niagara Falls to power an entire city of New York. I mean, these aren't realistic things, but they're not realistic. They're spiritual. Really, the intuition has been engaged. You know, these people are using the spiritual side of them to create things in the physical and taking action. And it will come together.
Right, exactly. Well, since we're on talking about this topic, Chris, I hope everybody can, you know, at least learn something from this, you know, event in my life. I'm still fighting to get into the real, and I have statement every day, and I'm moving towards that. Quit my job, start my own business. You know, my life is very different. I'm taking action towards what I really want to go, although sometimes it's really, really scary. How do you make sure?
If you don't mind me asking, the money consciousness you came from, how much money did your parents make?
Not a lot. My parents, my father is a medical doctor, but in a poor little, you know, small town. He didn't really make a lot of money. My mother is the one who actually entrepreneurial, makes way more money than anyone else in my family. But, you know, we were in China. There's no comparison to the money. Not a lot.
Okay.
So
you come from a Chinese consciousness of money. So in the environment you're in, you consider yourself well off, but you come to the States, you don't consider yourself well off. It's kind of what I'm seeing is your paradigm, is your program.
We would consider we were poor. Yeah, we would consider poor. Yeah.
All right. So there you are. So you come from a poor mindset. So your initial programming genetically as well as environmentally was that of a poor mindset. So each time you raise this consciousness, you end up fighting it. Raise, fight.
Yeah.
You have not so much fight, but you come up against this fear barriers. You push and go through it. Each time you go through it, you raise your consciousness. So the spiritual aspect will be finding an emotion that is stronger than the fear. Remember, fear is just something you're creating. So if you create an emotion that's stronger than that fear, the fear you can overcome because it's not danger, it's just fear, right? Like Will Smith said. So you create emotion that aligns with your value set, like DeMartini says. So that aligns with your value set, that is your inner self, and emotionalize that powers you through that stuff. Okay, so that you can achieve this $1 billion goal more quickly. The stronger the emotion, the more action you take, the faster it comes about.
So really get into the emotion and why.
I wanted to say something.
So
I want to say something. I noticed when you announced that she was the first billionaire woman, she said, "Oh, I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to announce that in public or something."
Yes.
And I was a little surprised. I was a little surprised she said that coming from a PSI person, because I always think, and you know, one of the lessons we learn is fear. When you operate from a fear side, you operate from scarcity, or you know, that's what you bring. So I know I work with a lot of new ventures, new people who start new businesses, and my question is always, are you excited? And the second question is, are you scared? And I really at the same time I really hope that they said yes to both questions, because I feel like when you're excited, that pushes you to obtain what you're looking for, and the fear, not a scare, but it's just like a fear is more like an intuition kind of thing, will prevent them from making something stupid. Because when you're doing something for the first time, it's always, you know, you don't have a GPS. You kind of navigate it and your own intuition. So I mean, I'm not teaching this lesson or anything, but I feel like maybe.
Did we just lose Elena?
Dramatic pause. It's a dramatic pause. The the power message is coming in just a moment.
Yeah.
So what she's getting at is that if you cultivate that fear you have is inherent. If you cultivate when you say like I don't know about this, if you immediately recognize that, you use your thinking mind because you're reacting when you say I don't know about that. That's the fear. That's pure reaction. So engage your thinking mind and say that is not the thought I want to have. That's not going to get what I want. Okay.
Right.
And perhaps the money program I have is that rich people are greedy. They don't give back. So if you say a statement like I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm a billionaire and I'm helping thousands of people with my money, millions of people, some kind of thing where you're giving back. Because a lot of wealthy people become entrepreneurs and help other people grow. They give money away to nonprofits. They assist people in building schools around the world. That's what Bob Proctor does. He builds schools in Africa.
Right. That's
well, there you go.
Goal.
That's your emotion behind it then.
Yeah, that is exactly
that is your why behind
to.
the statement.
Yeah, that is my why, right?
So
yeah, it's
exactly. So I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm a billionaire and I'm able to help build schools around the world. I have educated 90% of the world, and it's 2030, something like that. You're providing free education.
That part
oh my God. Okay. So I'm going to take some rest, okay? Alina, I don't know whether you're listening or now, and thank you guys for challenging me. I have a personal statement. I'm writing it every day. So it's my statement. I'm very grateful if you want to hear it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely.
So everybody, this is somebody putting themselves out there. So this is again that fear barrier she's working through right here. So
thank you.
This is a good thing for her to do. So go ahead, please.
Thank you. So I am a genius, a billionaire, a world leader, and amazing wife and mother, happily living a healthy, joyful life and making a difference, positive difference to billions of people's lives now.
Good. Now at the end. Now, how do you feel after saying that?
Amazing. I feel I'm in tears right now because I just think about the difference I can make to.
Well, then visualize that. You make it happen. That emotion is what you're looking for. It happens faster.
Yeah.
And keep taking action. So
sometimes I lost the sight of my why, quite frankly, and thank you for reminding me for that. It's a battle. Sometimes I wish it was just simpler. I wish I just why do I have this crazy dream? Why do I have to do that? And life would be easier, I go through this. And
Sherry, stop.
What?
Stop. You just said your affirmation and now you're saying it's difficult. See how the program's working? You're going up and down like this. So why don't you take your affirmation, write it out 10 times with your left hand so you realize what's going on. You fight that fear barrier in a small way. So write it out 10 times, okay?
10 times with my left hand?
Yeah, you see, you're already in it. See that fear barrier? Left hand 10 times. Okay. And it's a microcosm of what you're going to go through expressing yourself like you are to us. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Are there any other questions? Thanks, Jerry. You're awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. I actually think we need to, let's finish off here. We're going to be checking out of our hotel in about 20 minutes. So I have to.
Oh, it's been going 40 minutes here.
Yeah, I'm going to head on off and go pack up some bags and get ourselves out of Dodge, or in this case, Clear Lake Oaks.
All right. Thank you very much for being here, everybody. Again, if you have any references or you can push some more people our way so we can help more and more people each time, that'd be wonderful. So look forward to seeing you next week. And invite somebody else next time.
Absolutely. Thank you all for being here today. Really do appreciate your presence, and everything that you've brought to this experience for us as well.
Thank you so much, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.